Best coaches in the game, we really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block, helmets, casket is top. You be seeing helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision, we got too many. Get your check. Oh man, shit. They got us fucked up. Army, regroup. We pledge always to have that edge. We don't fire warning shots. Competition just dropped. We locked and loaded before lock. Whatever the time, yeah. Do you even correlate?
Being the best requires a willingness to outwork your competition. There's always someone smarter, faster, sharper, more naturally gifted to come around.
Welcome back to DFS Army. It's Fantasy Fling. We're looking at week 6 on Yahoo DFS. Before we take a look at week 6, we're going to take a look back at week 5, and I want to show you why we play over on Yahoo. All right, so one of the reasons we play over on Yahoo is we have softer player pricing. I would not have been able to afford this lineup on over on DraftKings this past week. I played, kind of the core players, but you just wouldn't have been able to cram this many studs over on DraftKings. So we had Josh Allen, Alvin Kamara, Leonard Fournette, Tyler Lockett, Christian Kirk, Deebo Samuel, Tyler Higbee, Jeff Wilson, and the 49ers D. So, we were able to pay up a bit at several positions, including defense. We didn't do a minimum with tight end like with Higbee. And then, over on Yahoo, you're going to want to play 3 running backs because you need the touchdowns. So Kamara, Fournette, and Jeff Wilson absolutely smashed at the running back position. We got 30 points from Fournette, 20 from Kamara, and same from Jeff Wilson. So we got about 20 each. And then obviously Josh Allen was a top pay up option on the slate earlier in the week. I didn't think I was going to go there. I thought I'd go with Brady. But after I started, building a lineup and I was able to squeeze in Lockett and Christian Kirk, who were both pretty cheap, and Deebo, and still get those stud running backs and have room for Josh Allen. It was pretty much a no-brainer. So it was pretty easy to hit the cash line this past week. I think there was, it's like 100 people or so. And by the way, top spot, of course, DFS Army Vet, BJ's 79. So we will look to continue to cash on Yahoo as we do each and every week. Let's start with the game totals. And, the reason we look at the game totals is this is going to give us a few games we might want to target certain game environments. So games that we know we're going to have a high floor for our cash games. Excuse me. I'm a little under the weather this week. Not sure whether I sound like Collinsworth or not, but I'm fighting through. I'm with you guys, so bear with me. But the top game we have Kansas City and Buffalo at 54 points. This is the game that everyone remembers. Last year went for 78 points in the playoffs. Gabe Davis went off. This is why he was kind of overdrafted this year for the most part. But he obviously went off again last week, so we know what he's capable of. So he's in play for this game as well as, the usual suspects, the Stephon Diggs, the Travis Kelce's, and obviously both Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. This game is the one game on the slate where you have two elite quarterbacks. This could be the new Brady and Manning, with these two going toe-to-toe multiple times in the postseason, in the regular season. And obviously, Buffalo has circled this on their schedule. So this game, I would not be shocked if it went over 60. I would be shocked, actually, if it, went under 50. But this is certainly a game that the field is going to be targeting. So we're going to have that floor, and we're going to play as many players as we can from this game. So the other game Obviously, Seattle and Arizona, that's the second highest game on the slate. I mentioned this in the Millie Maker review. Lockett has been huge. And one of the reasons people continue, top DFS pros and sharp players continue to target a player like Lockett is because Seattle doesn't have a good defense. And so they're forced, it's required to score a lot of points for them to try to win games. Geno's playing very well. So Lockett and Metcalf are both in play. On the other side, this is a get right game, hopefully, for Kyle Murray and his pass catchers, who can hopefully get their offense really going against a Seattle team that is not very good defensively. And that's just why they're 2-3. Arizona has a 26.75 team total. So Kyler Murray is obviously in play as a quarterback. We like favorite quarterbacks. Let's go through the list here with the rest of the remaining games. We've got San Fran going against Atlanta. I really like San Fran to smash in this game. Obviously, you have Debo, you have Jeff Wilson in play. Atlanta side, I don't really like anybody, but I suppose if you're doing stacks, you could bring Drake London back. You could do a lot worse. New England going against Cleveland, 42.5 total. This total is low as well. I really don't like it, but I do like Ramondre Stevenson. Damian Harris is going to be out for several weeks with a hamstring injury. We already love Ramondre. The only thing we didn't like about him is he's splitting carries with Damian Harris, and Damian Harris is getting most of the goal line looks. Well, now Damian Harris is out. So we have to Ramondre with the backfield by himself. It's a low team total, but I really think at his price, Ramondre Stevenson is very playable in cash this week. Jets and Green Bay. This is a 46-point team total. Breece Hall really went off last week. He was in the Millie Maker winning lineup. He very much exceeded his salary. And, that was a negative game script projected. But as we see with some of these players, it doesn't really matter if they're really good. They can bust it, take it to the house on any play, especially when they're getting both carries and targets in the passing game, as Breece Hall is. On the other side, the Green Bay offense, it's not really what you want. They're certainly missing Devontae Adams, but Romeo Doubs is coming in as one of the top fantasy points per dollar projections, so we'll get into that. He's playable, of course. Jacksonville and Indy, this is a low-scoring game. I don't know about this game really at all at this point. You now have James Robinson and ETN in a timeshare. The offense just didn't look that good last week. We know how bad Indy's offense can be. So this is a low-scoring game, probably staying away from this one. Now, Minnesota and Miami, you're going to have Skylar Thompson starting this week. So he did look really good in the preseason. In fact, I got him in Dynasty. Matt Waldman, one of the scouting experts, was saying he actually liked Skylar Thompson as one of the best quarterbacks in the class. Of course, he did really well in the preseason. Teddy's not going to play. Tua's not going to play, it sounds like. So Skylar Thompson is going to get the start. So if he's adequate, you can potentially play Tyreek Hill and Waddle this week. Raheem Mostert got a lot of the carries last week, so he looks like he's in play this week. I believe we got like 15 carries. And then on the other side, Dalvin Cook looked really good last week. Justin Jefferson got a lot of yards as well. He had like 120 yards, so didn't get the touchdowns. Otherwise, he would have had a slate breaking day. But Dalvin Cook looked really good, and he's coming in low owned, so he could be a leverage play for us this week. Bengals going against New Orleans. Bengals just aren't right. But if they're going to continue to be low owned, that's when you will look to play a Mixon, Jamar Chase. He's going to go off at some point. It's bound to happen. So there's some options there from tournament standpoint. On the New Orleans side, Chris Olave has been really good. Alvin Kamara looked great last week. He had 27 points. He would have had a much bigger day if Taysom Hill didn't bogart all the tutties from him. And speaking of Taysom Hill, he's not a cash play for me at tight end, but in tournaments, absolutely, you should play Taysom Hill in tournaments. Have some exposure to him. They said today they're going to continue to use him a lot in the run game. And we know that he just gets goal line carries, and he's also explosive as a runner. So that Swiss Army knife we got it there. Now, Baltimore going against the Giants. Barkley has looked really good, but he's priced all the way up. I think there's a lot better running back options. If you want to take some chances on him in tournaments, sure. But I'm not going there in cash with all the great options we have this week. On the Baltimore side, Lamar is coming in low owned. So I like that. We'll take some chances there with him. Tampa going against the Steelers. This could be one of the games that people are overlooking because it's got a low total. The Tampa does have a pretty good team total though, 25 points. And if you think a lot of people are going to be zeroing on these two games, people might forget about Brady stacks. I like Brady and Godwin, Mike Evans, Fournette looked great last week. So those guys are all in play. And then Kate Otten too, if he plays, again, if Cameron Brate's out, he was only $10 last week, and he's the same this week. And he got like 7 targets. So he's in play as well. Now, Carolina, they got PJ Walker this week. I don't really like much from this game. They fired their coach. Maybe they'll get a boost. But with PJ Walker, I'm not counting on it. Christian McCaffrey is probably the only player I would play on Carolina's side. On the Rams side, I really like their defense this week. Other than that, Kupp's in play, Higbee's in play, but I don't really like anything else. Their running backs are in a timeshare. I don't like it. Akers hasn't looked good. Henderson's just not getting enough touches. So that is where we're at from a game-by-game look. So I'm going to go over to my article. Now, it's almost done. This will be out here in an hour or so. But these are kind of where I'm going for my cash game plays. So gave you a lot of good ones last week, not only in cash, but also in some top leverage plays. So I hope you played some of those. Gabe Davis was one that I mentioned. And as far as a leverage play, and then cash, of course, we always mention Josh Allen every week. So he's just been too good. And honestly, I think if you just play Josh Allen in cash every week until further notice, you're going to win most weeks in cash just because that's how high his floor is. But he's also the type of quarterback that you can play in all formats because he has the floor and the ceiling. As long as you can, build, if there's enough value in tournaments where you can build a lineup around him, you could certainly win a GPP as he took down the Millie Maker last week. So we talked about it, 54-point game total. I like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes this week. The only way I would go with Mahomes in cash is, if there wasn't enough value there. But I do think there's going to be enough value, and we'll go over that and build a cash lineup here in a little bit. As we talked about, Mahomes' floor, it is a little lower than Allen's. He's had 2 weeks where he averaged 18 points. But the last 2 games, he's thrown 7 touchdowns and 1 interception. And Josh Allen is going to need to bring out the best in Mahomes if Josh Allen and the Bills offense is on their game, as we saw the best Mahomes last time they played. So we can easily get, 25 plus points from Mahomes. And if you get that, you will certainly take it at his $34 salary. Now, the other guy that I actually think is playable this week, and I never thought I'd see a time when he's averaging 25 points a game. I mean, what year is it? He's been a journeyman backup for so long, but he looks really good. And as long as he continues to look this good and the defense is that bad and these games end up being high projected, we're going to play Geno Smith. So I do think you could play him in cash this week. I'm probably not going to do it, but I will certainly have a lot of exposure to him in tournaments. I mentioned Ramondre Stevenson. He played 90% of the snaps last week, got 70% of the carries. On the season, he has 11% target share. So there are a lot of opportunities there, and we love that. Fournette. Now, I didn't play him in cash last week in like DraftKings. I did over on Yahoo. But a reason for fading him over, on some of the tougher sites like DraftKings is just volume concerns. But he only touched the ball 10 times in week 4. Week 5, he had 24 touches, 139 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So we like that. And he's the highest projected back this week with a 16.69 projection. He's priced under $25. So when you got a guy under $25 and he has a highest projection, and he's higher projection than guys that are $30, yeah, I will take that. So the other guy that I like just below that is Jeff Wilson. 16.25 carries. That's what he's had averaged in the last 4 games. 5.5 yards a carry. He's a touchdown in back-to-back games. We need that on Yahoo. He has a great matchup versus the Falcons. They're giving up 100 rushing yards per game to running backs. He's the domination station's second-ranked fantasy points per dollar back. So I like Wilson as well this week. And then Kenneth Walker. Scouting experts loved him. A lot of people had him as their second-ranked back. Some even had him as their first. Over Breece Hall. So he showed why he was so highly regarded when he rushed for 88 yards and a touchdown on 8 carries last week. So 11 yards carry. Penny's out for the season, so it's his backfield. I like it at his price, his skill set, and then just opportunities, because this game is high scoring, as a lot of Seattle's games have been. Even if Arizona has a good defense against the run, if he's getting goal line opportunities and getting several, we want that on Yahoo. Now, the last back that I have here is Eno Benjamin. If James Conner's out this week, which he had a rib injury, we know Williams is out. If James Conner's out this week, I like Eno Benjamin at $15. He's just, for me, he's the top play for $15. The value is just too good. He every down roll last week. So and he's going up against the Seattle defense that's given up 130 rushing yards per game. So it's just an easy play for me. If not, then obviously James Conner, if he's a full go, then you would have consideration for him there as well. So wide receivers, Gabe Davis had the big week last week, but Stephon, he still scored 20 points. He had 100 yards on a touchdown, and honestly, he had other opportunities to score that him and Allen just didn't quite connect. So he could have ended up having the big day. 26% target share in the season. He's just the safest $38 plus, wide receiver option, because this game, again, is probably going to shoot out. Now, we mentioned Gino, we mentioned Kenneth Walker, obviously Tyler Lockett, DK, we can't forget about him. He actually has the highest target share on the season in that offense. 10 targets per game. He's at 100 yards per game in his last 3 games and 2 touchdowns in his last 3 games. So we need touchdowns on Yahoo. He's certainly in play. He's the second highest projected game total. So we like him as well. Deebo Samuel. A lot of drops last week, but, he's going against the Falcons secondary, so we can expect for him to clean that up. Despite the drops, he's scored in back-to-back weeks, and this week he has the 4th highest projection from wide receivers over at DFS Army's domination station with a 15.39 projection. By the way, guys, I know this is a free podcast and article, so if you are not a DFS Army subscriber, you want access to the domination station, all the tools, so you can build the lineups. You can build 150 lineups to put them in the tournaments, the baller, whatever Yahoo tournament you want, not just Yahoo, but also FanDuel and DraftKings. You need to go to dfsarmy.com to get access to the domination station, the optimizer that multiple $1 million winners, Millie Maker winners have won this year. And you have access to it. Use code FantasyFling for 10% off a VIP subscription. We also currently have a promo where you could try out a VIP subscription a month for free. So I'm on Twitter at FantasyFling. Go ahead and follow and DM me if you want the details on that. But to finish this off, we got Tyler Lockett. Again, 26% target share. He's had 95 yards over the last 4 games, and he's just priced really well. He's only $21. His price has come up just a few dollars, but it's still not really high enough. And he scored twice last week, so the touchdowns are now there as well. And then last, wide receivers, MVS. Kansas City, they spread the ball out quite well after Kelsey. So Kelsey gets a 23% target share, but after that, MVS is a pretty high amount, 17% target share on the season. It's certainly not elite, but he's only $11, and he's actually the top fantasy points per dollar play over at the domination station this week. And for the $11 in a very high projected game, you could see why. Obviously, top play is Travis Kelsey, 4 touchdowns last week, number 1 scoring tight end in the game. And he's actually the number 4 pass catcher. So I think that sometimes when you look at the elite tight ends, you kind of there's like a stigma with tight ends, and you kind of just need to get it out of your head that they're a tight end and just rank them with the pass catchers. So, like, show me a pass catcher who is under $30 who's ranked in the top 5. The only one is Kelsey because he's a tight end. He's priced at $27. So Tyler Higbee, $21, 90%, 95% of the snaps, and has a 25% target share in the season. So he hasn't gotten in the end zone. That's a problem. He's more of a tournament this play for me this week, but he does have a 10-point projection at DFS Army. So projecting 10 points, basically projecting he gets in the end zone, or he has 100 yards receiving. Either way, you'll obviously take that. And then the second fantasy points per dollar play this week is Hayden Hurst. I like pay down options. And if you can get a guy like Hayden Hurst, who's got 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks, I like that. And he had like 7 targets last week. So we will take it. So Los Angeles Rams, as I mentioned, going against PJ Walker, they're $13. I like that. Some of my other plays this week is as far as the stack, there's a lot of ways you can go with in this game. And I think some of it for me is McKenzie play. I don't like Gabe Davis as much of McKenzie plays because he starts McKenzie and Davis really, it just starts cutting into Davis's target share. So I like Diggs more. I'm willing to eat that chalk. But obviously, if you're going to attack that game's a lot of way, you will have exposure to Davis. This is a pricier stack, $75. Total projected ownership is 34%. I would handle it there. 30, maybe to 40 would probably be my cap. And then I'd be out, and I'd be looking to get different there from a ownership standpoint. Now, some of the leverage plays that I like, and we'll get into this. I'll go over to the domination station. Kyler Murray, 6.9%. He hasn't played good. He's still high price, but if no one's going to play him and he's going against Seattle this week, if this is the week that Kyler Murray has a ceiling game and he's low owned because everyone is in on Brady and everyone's on Mahomes and Josh Allen, sure, I'm going to take some shots. I'm definitely going to have exposure to Kyler Murray and his pass catchers, Marquise Brown, or it's Rondale Moore this week. And then the other quarterback too, Lamar Jackson. It's going against New York, right? So at a 24-point team total, favored quarterbacks, we like that. Yeah, if no one's playing Lamar Jackson, I want that. He's second in scoring for quarterbacks. We know what he can do. We know he can score 30, 40 points. So, yeah, give me some Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. Running back, Dalvin Cook. Minnesota. So we like favored running backs too. So Minnesota at Miami, that's one of the more high scoring games. So I do like Dalvin Cook this week, specifically with Miami's elite corner covering Justin Jefferson. I could see the touchdowns going to Dalvin Cook. Brees Hall, if he's going to be low owned this week, I'll go right back to him because he's a low price. 7% owned, I'll take it. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Reason why I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire is if everyone is going to be on Mahomes in his pass catchers and Josh Allen in his pass catchers, that is like the perfect direct leverage play. Maybe the Chiefs do score a lot of points, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets 2 to 3 touchdowns, 50 to 100 yards. You will absolutely take that. Gabe Davis, I probably will just probably have a lot more exposure to Gabe Davis at 7% than I would to Diggs. I'd have exposure to both of them, especially double stacking. But if Davis is going to be 7% owned, especially after how he torched the Chiefs last year, going right back to him. Marquise Brown, I mentioned with Kyler Murray, that's looking like a low owned stack. I love it. Jamar Chase, he's due. He hasn't had a great game. It's also those Thursday night games can just be trash. We've known this from years past. And obviously those night games can just be shitty. And going against New Orleans, Seattle certainly scored quite a few points last week. He can get going. He could beat Lattimore. He could do it. Nobody's going to play that stud. I'll take that chance. And then again, Mike Evans. Nobody's playing Mike Evans this week. We got the Bucks going against the Steelers. Yeah, I'm going to take some shots there. So those are some of my top leverage plays off of the chalk. And then let's just go over to Domination Station and sort from a projection standpoint. So obviously, Barkley is the highest projected back, but oh Lord, has his salary climbed. Remember when I told you weeks ago he was underpriced? Well, he was, because he was playing really good. He's now not underpriced. He might even be overpriced. He's $39. Leonard Fournette obviously is popping. Christian McCaffrey, have to have some consideration with a new coach just wanting to feed McCaffrey the ball. Jonathan Taylor, he could have a ceiling game going against the Jags. We'll see. But yeah, Ramondre Stevenson, we like him. Kamara, I would like Kamara more if there was no Taysom Hill. I just think his ceiling is kind of capped with Taysom Hill there. But yeah, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, they are two of the top more projected backs, and they're both $22. I like the price. Some fantasy points per dollar. Najee Harris, I don't like that going against the Bucks. Jeff Wilson popping again. Fournette, Singletary. He could be a leverage play in that game too, just like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Kenneth Walker down here, we mentioned him. All right, let's finish this up. Wide receivers. Cooper Kupp is obviously the top guy. We really haven't had a ceiling game for him, so he could be overdue. We'll see. Justin Jefferson. I'm not super fond of the matchup, but probably not getting there this week. Stephon Diggs, Debo, Tyreek Hill. If there's not a big drop off, obviously, from Teddy to Skylar Thompson, we'll see. And then Jamar Chase, pretty good projection. DK, Tyler Lockett, Marquise Brown, we talked about them. Now, both MBS and Juju are the top fantasy points per dollar plays. One of the main reasons I liked MBS in my cash lineup. Obviously, if this game goes off, they're both. You have to have exposure to both of them, just in case. Drake London, I mentioned him, is a possible stack. If you have Jeff Wilson, for example, you bring it back with Drake London or Debo, so on and so forth. And then Romeo Doubs, he is one of the top fantasy points per dollar plays. So almost a 10-point projection. Don't love that game, but it is the Jets. Maybe the Jets will jet, so we'll see. Obviously, you have Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. Now, this is a little surprising to me because Andrews is priced higher than Kelce, and Andrews could go off in any week. He's been in the Millie Maker so many times in the past, like 7 to 8 slates on the Millie Maker. He's been there like 4 times. But Travis Kelce is obviously projected in the better game script this week, but their projection is almost identical. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Obviously, we don't have the ownership totals right now, but from what I saw earlier, they were pretty close. And then fantasy points per dollar, we got Kyle Pitts. I just don't like Kyle Pitts. I'm probably not playing him. Hayden Hurst and Kelsey. Kelsey popping is one of the top fantasy points per dollar plays. And Andrews is interesting. I think if you can get up here this week, you should. And in fact, kind of want to show you guys, I did build a cash lineup earlier, and just kind of where I'm headed with this. Now, the lineup that I'm going to build is really contingent on let's just go here. Is really contingent on Eno Benjamin not playing. But so I had Josh Allen. Let me pull this up. Andre Stevenson, Walker, Diggs, Tyler Lockett, MVS. This leaves $11 left, which I more or less just went with the Patriots D. It's because if I'm doing a pay down option, I got a defensive scheme and coach that I really believe in. I like New England going against Jacoby Brissett and the Browns. So that's kind of my pay down, my punt. But I love this cash lineup, guys. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Travis Kelce. Like these are 3 high volume, high floor, high ceiling plays in one game that is projected to be very high scoring. So those are my 3 big plays. And then Ramondre Stevenson, you got a little bit of a correlation here. Ramondre Stevenson and New England D. You got Kenneth Walker, Tyler Lockett. So a little bit of a stack there. But, I don't force stacks in cash, but I don't mind them either if the plays are really good. You're playing the best plays typically. So you have Kenneth Walker, Tyler Lockett, and then obviously MBS is the cheap fantasy points per dollar pay down option, $11. And then, Eno Benjamin. We try to play 3 running backs over on Yahoo just based on scoring touchdowns. We need those. So if there is no James Conner, this is my lineup. If there is James Conner, then my lineup changes. So follow me on Twitter at FantasyFling because I record this on a Wednesday. Things often change. I normally don't set my lineup until I'll set this one though. But I normally don't set my lineup until Saturday or Sunday. And that's just kind of how it goes. But if you have any questions, follow me on Twitter at FantasyFling. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification button so you never miss an episode. And good luck this week. Hope y'all win monies. And we'll see you next week.